Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Nine Vibes. So, today is going to be question 3 on our Nine Vibes Awareness Answer series, where I'm just going to be answering random questions that are asked by Nine Vibe members. All right, so today's question actually is coming from Stanley on Nine Vibes. What's up, Stanley? So, why do we have poor health and poor people? All right, and this is a question that's asked quite often, especially when you're looking at society and looking at where we are financially individually. And so what I would like to do is I would like to first break this up into two parts. There is the individual part and there is the societal part. Okay. So to start off with the individual part, why do we have poor health and poor people is because individually poor is a mindset. It is not a physical state of being. It is a mindset. And so you can have an apartment, you can have a TV, you can have a gaming console, and you still perceive yourself as poor because when you view yourself in comparison to society, you perceive yourself as less. And if you perceive yourself as less, then that changes your mind for you to believe that you are less than these people that are around you and thus creating a poor mindset. Okay? The same thing goes for your health. You can have a very healthy system, but if for whatever reason something is hindering, such as asthma, colds, and even things more serious, leukemias and cancers, we perceive these things as poor health, when in reality, it's still poor mindset. There are many things that you can do, and there are many paths that you can explore that are going to introduce you to ways to get a healthy mindset, which will then give you a healthy body. I talk about it often when I talk about charging your chakras with water, when I talk about charging your chakras with frequencies, when I talk about, the colors that are around you and how they affect your health. When I talk about water, and I teach you how water, because of the fact that you're made up of water, your cells, the way that they vibrate, can actually change into the proteins and the biochemistries that you need to be healthy. But these are all physical choices. These are all steps that you have to actually take, and it starts in your mind. Remember, the first Hermetic principle is everything is mental. Why? Because everything is in your mind. Poor health, poor people, poor living, these are all mindsets. And I know that there are a lot of people who are saying, wait a minute, I'm poor, I have nothing, I'm homeless, and I completely understand that. I am not saying that your physical location has anything to do with this situation, because just recently on my VR headset, I went through a documentary that was showing me people in Pakistan who just lost everything in a flood. And if you don't know about that, Google that. They had one of the worst floods ever, and just towns were just decimated. People are lost. You have refugees over in Iran. You have Russia that has a war where they have refugees. Poor is a mindset. Okay, not having anything makes you no different than those that came before you. All right, if you go and you study history, you'll see that people lived in caves and people lived in stone places and people barely had food. These are what would be considered poor. And yet, when we look throughout history, it's not like every single person, had their head down and didn't live life. There are many stories of miracles and happiness and joy, growth, success, elevation, enlightenment. All in a time where in society we would be considered the most poor. So poor is definitely a mindset. And one of the things that I work with people whenever we're in a one-on-one session is changing that mindset, changing it to a rich mindset. That doesn't mean that money flows in your life. That means that you start appreciating the things that you do have. That means that you look around and you say, okay, I can have more, but I appreciate what I have, which is a very different mindset from I don't have anything or coming from a state of lack. Okay, so that's the individual answer. It's up to the individual to change their mindset. And when you change your mindset, thanks to science, it will change your environment. Change the way that you look at things, and the things that you look at will change. It's the fundamentals of quantum physics. All right. Now, let's take and turn that over to our society. Why do we have a poor health society and a poor health of people? Right? And so this actually becomes more of a responsibility side as a society. Okay, we are okay with having poor people, with having homeless in our towns, because as long as somebody is at the bottom, we can always look at ourselves as above that line. Okay, and as a society and in psychology, this is just something that we do. In a way, what we actually do is we hold down those people that we perceive below us so that we can keep ourselves up. Because as long as there's somebody on the corner who doesn't have a home, you can appreciate the fact that you live in a one-bedroom apartment. Okay, so as a society, we do this quite often. We subconsciously push people down exactly where they are so that we can basically shine where we are. And this is a mindset that we need to change as a society. We need to start understanding that we can take care of these things, that we can change our mindset and lift up the people that are homeless and lift up the people who have less without ever affecting where we are. Okay, so this is an abundance problem. This is an abundance mindset. Okay, if you believe that there is no way in any way, shape, or form for you to make more in your life than one specific path, then you stay on that path and you make sure that no one else gets on that path. But if you believe that there are multiple paths, multiple doors, then you can open it up for anybody. And this is the way that I teach it when I'm dealing with kids trying to understand abundance. Okay, so if you go in your backyard, if you lived on the East Coast, you go in the backyard, you have a tree, and this tree has leaves. And when the leaves change color, they fall down to the ground. So if you go and you gather up all of the leaves and you make a little pile, that's your abundance. That's your financial flow basically at that point. And so you have a choice. You can keep all those leaves in a pile, which is a savings. You can share leaves with other people, but then your pile gets smaller. Or, and most importantly, you can understand cycles. You can understand that the exact same cycle that allowed you to have the leaves in the first place will come again, and it will happen again, and it will happen again. And on top of that, it will happen to multiple trees. So you can move from location to location if you wanted to, taking very little and allowing other people to have what they want. So there's two things that we have to start changing in our society. One is to understand that there are multiple trees. There are multiple paths of abundance. There are multiple paths of financial flow. And number two, to understand cycles, because cycles go beyond us. And when you really get into astrology, when you really get into numerology, when you really get into even, let's say, W.D. Gann, and the way that he taught cycles, you start to understand that everything is cycles within cycles. Master that cycle and you'll know exactly when the funds are going to come. And I tell people this, read the Bible, but read the Bible from a different mindset. Read it from a person who is seeking financial knowledge. Because the Bible is written at multiple levels of consciousness, multiple levels of awareness. So if you're struggling with finances, don't read the Bible looking to try to understand how to love your brother. That's not what your mind is on. That's not what your heart is on. It's on the fact that you are struggling with your finances. The Bible specifically has words like profit, growth. It has whales, as in the understanding of the fact that, there are people who have more than you that move the ocean with it. Okay, when a whale moves to the ocean moves with the whale, and the fish follow in that pattern. Okay, so read it from a different mindset and you'll get a different answer. There are answers all around you, but the very first thing you have to stop doing is you have to stop telling yourself you're poor. You have to stop telling yourself that you don't have enough, and you have to stop telling yourself that there's not enough, because everything around you is just light. That's all it is. Everything is just pure light. So it's up to us what we are actually creating in these experiences. If we want to change having poor health and poor people, we have to start changing our mindset. We need to start having a healthy mindset and a rich mindset. Have a healthy heart and a rich heart, and you will have the things that you want in life. That's where the doors open up. And it's the most uncomfortable, which is how you know it works, because the most uncomfortable is what pushes energy. The most uncomfortable feelings that you have are the things that excel you to the next level. Okay? Uncomfortability is not something you're not supposed to be in. It's just not something you're supposed to stay in. All right? So we can absolutely change this. We just have to start with our mind. Get your 9 vibes aligned.